allows for social inclusion, it allows for cultural inclusion, it allows for educational inclusion.
Fertile grounds are brewing for the empowerment of persons with disabilities as the long-standing book famine faced its existential end. That's thanks to Jamaica's accession to the Marrakesh Treaty.
Basically, what it does is it allows for the creation of accessible format books without being an infringement of the Copyright Act. In our instance, in Jamaica, it would be an infringement of the Copyright Act.
This accession to the Marrakesh Treaty on the 28th of August 2024 enables access to published works as well as the production and exchange of copyrighted materials in formats such as Braille, large print, and audiobooks.
Something that most of us take for granted. We want to read something, we go to a store, we buy the books. We want to read something that we don't want to purchase, we go to a library to access it. It's not that easy for everybody.
Such has been one of the biggest setbacks for persons who are visually impaired, blind, and other print-disabled individuals without accessible format knowledge material.
If somebody wrote a book and it is a printed book, you're not supposed to put it into another format without the permission of the author.
The Marrakesh Treaty changes that, enabling access to published works as well as the production and exchange of copyrighted materials in formats such as Braille, large print, and audiobooks.
It allows visually impaired, print-disabled persons and organizations acting on their behalf to create accessible format copies without needing permission from copyright holders.
Jamaica went beyond the scope of the treaty to ensure the copyright exceptions also benefit individuals with hearing disabilities as it changed the copyright law to include the provisions of the treaty.
Less than 1% persons with disabilities in Jamaica are employed, and individuals with disabilities face significant barriers to education, primarily due to the lack of accessibility of material for them to learn from. And the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, we're very happy to be the ministry, Jamaica's business ministry, to take this into the community and to make sure that legal impediment is now removed by us accessing the Marrakesh Treaty.
The World Intellectual Property Organization, which is a United Nations body, established the Marrakesh Treaty on June 23 of 2013. Jamaica is the seventh Caribbean country to enhance access to published works for persons with disabilities by acceding to the Marrakesh Treaty.
It allows for cross-border exchange. So what that means is, if, for example, and our neighbors to the north are both parties to this treaty, so both Canada and the United States, they have several works in accessible formats. So with a cross-border exchange, we're allowed now to import those books, and it's not an infringement of copyright. So we have a wide, the famine now can be addressed fully because there are all these works that are available. And the World Intellectual Property Organization has an area called the Accessible Books Consortium. And under the Accessible Books Consortium, they facilitate this cross-border exchange. So we will be actively working with the Accessible Books Consortium of the World Intellectual Property Organization.
Jamaica's decision to join the Marrakesh Treaty is a reaffirmation of the commitment to foster an inclusive society where access to information and knowledge is recognized as a fundamental right for all.
The Marrakesh Treaty will have a profound impact on the lives of persons with disabilities, on the lives of our children who are desirous of being in school, allowing our educational institutions not to be limited in terms of the books and information that they will provide and how they will engage with our children who have varying disabilities. No longer can persons say that the materials are not available or we do not have, the wherewithal to provide same.
The Copyright Act now has authorized bodies which are legally allowed to facilitate the cross-border exchange of published books and works in accessible formats for the disabled community.
So it's not just the ordinary person who can do the cross-border exchange. They have to go through one of these authorized bodies. So it is a system that has parameters in place. So it's not just a free riding system, but it is a safe system so that those who need to get access will have access. And what the Marrakesh Treaty has done has made it now possible for anybody who is blind or visually impaired to decide, okay, this is an area I want to pursue. I can get the books. I don't need to wait on somebody to come and read to me. I now can take out my own book and do my reading on my own and prepare and become a part of my chosen profession.
Just think of our students who are blind, Salvation Army School for the Blind, and those who have been integrated in other schools across Jamaica. They have had to either depend on others or go without, or wait for study groups, to really get the material that they need.
The Marrakesh Treaty, bridging the gap, ending the global book famine, experienced by persons who are blind, visually impaired, and otherwise print disabled, having access to less than 10% of published works globally. Learn more by visiting the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office website at jipo.gov.jm or call them at 876-946-1300.